What is your timeline on when you think abortion will be banned?
So my work, our work on this, in this fight, I believe it will be within our lifetime for sure. I think that even under this current administration, we were very disappointed that, there's some progress being made, but the Republican Party right now has made a lot of compromises on this. So we have to work to reestablish protection of life in the Republican Party and obviously convince the Democrat Party to fight for life. That's a big fight right there because most Democrats are pro-abortion. But I do think that there are, everyday little shifts happening. People, when they learn about abortion, when they learn about the evil of it, there is a lot of conversions that are happening. So that's the focus of Live Action's work, primarily more than public policy, even is changing hearts and minds. And it's a difficult task, of course, Pearl, because as I'm sure you've seen, there's a lot of toxicity in our culture today. There's a lot of lies. People, post-sexual revolution, I think people are just very damaged. And so we've come to accept abortion as this normal thing. And we've also come to accept sex outside of marriage and sex outside of a loving lifelong commitment as normal. Like, oh yeah, of course people hook up. Of course that's normal. That's sort of a prevailing societal attitude today. And that's what leads to abortion, right? Because people think, oh, I'm going to have sex without consequences. I can do what I want. And then of course, sex can lead to new life, even with contraception. And that's what happens again and again. And that's why we have 3,000 babies killed every day. That is the backup contraception today, abortion. Yeah. So that's, this is the kind of the larger societal issue. And so anyways, back to your question of, are we going to ban abortion? I believe we will. It is going to happen, but there's a lot of work we need to do to change hearts and minds and to change really how we operate as a society, where we, instead of looking at sex as cheap, the hookup culture as the way to go, we celebrate marriage and say, no, marriage is a good thing and sex belongs within marriage and children are gifts, they're blessings. And would you agree
it's a losing cause? That when women have aborted when women have aborted an eighth of the world population, an eighth, like 1 out of 8 people, like the most dangerous place you can be is in your mother's womb.
Yes, it's horrific.
Horrible. So horrific. Like, wouldn't you say,
I agree.
Wouldn't you say it's a losing cause?
No, I don't think it's a losing cause at all. And I see people change on this issue. I see former abortionists become passionately pro-life and start crusading for pro-life laws. I see women who've had abortions.
They do it when it's convenient. See, that's the...
I disagree with that. So, I don't think it's convenient for them. No, they sacrifice a lot. But,
no, I've seen the one lady that and this is just what I see tend to happen. And I think it really detracts. You might have good intentions, right? But I think it often detracts from the message. It's very convenient to say after you've aborted. Like, I think there's one woman, she aborted 2 kids and then became like a speaker. And I'm just thinking it's very convenient that now that you can make money as a pro-life speaker, that you're pro-life. And I just see that pattern where a lot of people, it's very convenient when they choose to be pro-life. It could be a true change of heart. It's possible, but go ahead.
Yeah, I totally disagree. I think today it actually is inconvenient, more than convenient, to be pro-life because there's so much societal infrastructure and pressure to actually be pro-abortion. So I think it's not like, being pro-life, we're working on making pro-life mainstream. I think we've made actually a lot of progress, Pearl, which I'm proud of. There's a lot more work to do. 3,000 babies dying every day is an emergency of the greatest level.
Plan B is over the counter now. Like, I don't know if there's been... Like in my lifetime, I would say in the past 10 years, it's become easy. I mean, I know there was Roe versus Wade. I'm sure you're going to say that. But even so, I mean, I've been to some of these feminist conventions. They ship the abortion stuff in the mail. You can get Plan B over the counter. Like, if you think Plan B is abortion, I don't really see any progress at all.
Well, and if you're speaking about the abortion pill, that is now over half of abortions, and that can be shipped by mail because we don't have regulations, and the pill is even on the market. I mean, the fact that the abortion pill is on the market, that happened under Clinton in the 1990s, and then under Biden, they took off all the regulations, and now you can literally order an abortion pill in the mail. Yeah, that's horrific, and that's only going to that leads to the normalization of, oh, it's just a pill. It's not just a pill, by the way.
It's
one
over.
out of every 24.
Yeah.
1 out of every 24 women who take the abortion pill end up in the emergency room. 1 out of every 10 of them have serious complications, and 100% of those babies virtually are being murdered. Right. So it's a huge issue. But I don't think it's convenient. Just back to what you're saying originally. I don't think it's somehow like convenient to go out there and be a pro-life speaker like many women are and many men are, quite frankly. I think it's a beautiful work that they do. And I wish there were more people out there advocating for life.
I disagree, because I see YouTube numbers. Like, I know what you guys get paid to speak at a lot of these places. I'm like, and maybe I'm off by 10, 20%, but it's good money. And a lot of them are getting paid very well. So
yeah, well,
I think it's
Yeah, I just wouldn't say, I think it's one thing to pay people for, work and there's giving a speech or things like that. But, the people that I know in the pro-life movement, they're not doing this because, oh, this is my way to make all this money. They're doing this because they are passionate about saving lives. And thankfully, again, there's a lot of beautiful work being done. I mean, I think about the Pregnancy Resource Care Center movement, thousands of pregnancy resource centers across the country, more than Planned Parenthoods, more than abortion clinics. They don't get taxpayer dollars. They're not the ones like Planned Parenthood getting, $800 million a year from taxpayers, and they're literally saving lives every day in our communities. They don't have a big marketing budget the way that Planned Parenthood does. Planned Parenthood has like hundreds of millions of dollars to lie to people and spend on marketing.
You don't have to convince me that pro-life is like a good, or abortion's wrong. I think what I'm doing, Curl, is I don't want to discourage people from joining the pro-life movement. And I would say, I think we need more professional people in the pro-life movement who are advancing the cause. Planned Parenthood has a tremendous amount of money that they're investing professionally in developing the pro-abortion lobby. So I would argue we need actually more resources in the pro-life movement. We need more people who are professionally engaged in the pro-life movement in order to advance the cause of the unborn. Right, but the challenge is we see this
abortion,
as a
abolition, and changing hearts and minds.
The challenge is most people see this as a losing cause. Like, nobody really sees the pro-life movement as having really won much in the past 50 years. Well, and listen, I would say, I would say a lot of people that hypothetically could or would be, when you say like, oh, it'll maybe be banned in our I do believe it'll be banned in our lifetime. It's like, it's kind of like, if you have an employee and you're like, when is this project going to get done? And they're like, well, maybe in our lifetime. You're like, well, I don't know if you're winning, right? It's one thing to like, obviously you're going to list the stats or what, give anecdotal stories. But when I look outside, 1 out of 3 women have had an abortion, and we're getting pills in the mail now. And I think it's disgusting, but I just see it as a losing, I see it as you guys lost.
Well, here's a few things to consider, Pearl, hopefully to encourage you. So first of all, there are 12 states that have banned abortion. That's a big deal. In 12 states, it is illegal to kill a baby. And that is huge progress. And they reported that after Roe v. Wade fell, another huge victory. Just 3 years ago, Roe v. Wade was overruled. Now we have, the opportunity to protect life. That's a huge opportunity. There were 40,000 more babies born the next year than the year prior that otherwise would have been killed if abortion hadn't been made illegal. So lives are being saved on a daily basis because of pro-life laws. And we have a lot more work to do, but that is a good thing that we have those pro-life laws.
They looked into that, though, and they saw that women are going to other states to get the abortion, and Plan B sales are going up. I just don't see a baby boom coming anytime soon. If I see the birth rate going down, I see if abortion decreases, I looked into this, Plan B increases. So
I think you're talking about the abortion pill, right? You're saying there's more abortion pills.
Well, there's Plan B, and then there's the abortion pill. I believe those are they're different
things. Yeah. So here's the thing. I hear what you're saying. And yes, there is, you could call it like the black market. And this is going to happen even after abortion is banned. When we ban something like murder, fraud, rape, whatever, sometimes the bad thing still happens to some degree, right? So I'm not going to say, oh, it's possible to make sure that no one ever commits any sin again. That's not possible, right? In this life, before one day, hopefully on our journey to heaven, we can be perfected, by God's grace, right? But we can fight towards justice, and we should fight towards justice for our laws in our society. And in Texas, as an example, Texas banned abortion. And the birth rate did go up in Texas, Pearl, despite the fact that, yes, some women went out of state. You know, my state of California, horrifically.
By how much?
Was saying,
like one to what?
I think the number was around 40,000 more live
I meant
births.
one kid per, because we're at like 1 point something for the birth rate. So what, to 1.8?
The birth rate is very low. It's below replacement rate. But my point is, lives are being saved.
Yeah,
that's my point. And that's a good thing. We should celebrate every single one of those lives.
And I'm not saying that's a bad, you know, I'm all for it, but you have to understand that still sounds like a losing cause to me.